things. But one day I woke up and I looked at myself and I wasn't me anymore. I wasn't me anymore. I was broken on the inside. I was on edge on the outside. I was an insomniac. I was afraid in my own house. I was afraid in my own house. And that wasn't a healthy place to be. I had wrinkles at 40. At 40, on my 40th birthday, so I had a portrait taken. And then I have other pictures that were taken of me at 46, 48, and 50. I have them in my office in random order. They're all along the same wall, but they're in random order. And everybody that comes into my office, I say to them, look at these photos and tell me where you think I'm oldest and where you think I'm youngest. I think it's only one person out of about 50 who pointed at my photo at 40 and said, this is you at 40. Only one person. And I think it's because that person knew me then. Everybody else will go to my picture at 40 and say, this is you at 50, and point to my picture at 50 and say, this is you at 40. I looked older in my 40s than I do now, and I'm almost 60 years old. And that was because the weight was of what was happening inside was showing on the outside. Hausa people have a proverb. They say, "Sanin labarin zuciya yana fuska." What that means is, if you want to know the story of the heart, look at the face. Look at the face. So codependency is a horrible, horrible epidemic right now, because we have people who are in relationships holding on for dear life. And because the abuser knows that this person is holding on for dear life, it is the license they need to intensify the abuse. So we have to start teaching people that God values a life more than a marital status. God has more value for a life than he has for a marital status. Why? Marriage is a temporary thing. It ends here. It doesn't go anywhere. In heaven, there'll be no marriage. We are the bride of Christ. But I'm almost confident to say that there are people, male and female, that will miss heaven because of bitterness that is attached to a spouse they had on earth. So we're going to mortgage eternity for a temporary thing that will end here on earth. So we have to teach people. You were not made, God hates abuse. You were not meant to be abused. You were not meant to morph into another person or be swallowed up by another. And put on my hello, everyone. I see all of you. God bless you. Thank you for being a part of this. You know, like Enya said a little earlier, she said, we see talks about narcissism everywhere on the internet, but hardly anybody talks about codependency. Hardly anybody talks about codependency. And she made a very profound statement just now. If we can heal codependency, the effect of the narcissist will not be as devastating. And what keeps us in this place where we are so abused that we cannot think for ourselves is because of codependency. So there are two ways I like to define codependency, okay? One, codependency is being in a relationship with somebody who has an addiction or a personality disorder. The person is addicted to whatever they are addicted to, but the person in relationship with them is addicted to the person. That is codependency. You are addicted to the person with whom you are in relationship because they are addicted to their own thing. They're addicted to their space, relationships, any other one but you, addicted to their food, their sex, their work, their whatever it is, their drugs, but you are addicted to the person. That brings you into a space of In fact, if you like, being in obsession or idolatry. So the person is worshiping at the altar of whatever they are attached to, and you are worshiping at their own altar. You are addicted to the person. One, two. I also define codependency as one person playing a tennis game all by themselves. So you hit the ball from this side of the net and run quickly to the other end to receive your own ball that you hit. Play it back and run back here. So is one person playing a tennis game. Just imagine how exhausting that will be. It's not table tennis, because table tennis is a small table. In 4 or 5 steps, if you are running, you can go to the other end. I'm talking about a lawn tennis court. Number one, a table tennis ball is tiny and is light. So hitting it doesn't require effort. Lawn tennis, I tried playing lawn tennis. I gave up from the first time. Number one, the racket was too heavy for me. Number two, the balls coming at that speed, I couldn't handle it. I just gave up. I played badminton very well. I played it to state level. I represented Sokoto State in the national games. I played table tennis. Tables, the ball is light, you can hit it. But lawn tennis. So imagine a person playing a lawn tennis game all by themselves. That is codependency, where one person is the one bringing everything to the relationship. The other one is sucking and sucking everything you are bringing and giving nothing back. Oh no, they are giving something back. They are giving criticism. They are giving abuse. They are giving nastiness. They are giving starvation. They are withholding praise, withholding love, withholding appreciation, withholding finances, withholding sex. All of that is going on in the space of codependency. Now, codependency is not something we are usually aware of. We're unaware that that's who we are or who we have become, because it's a gradual conditioning. Codependency happens through a process of gradual conditioning. You're being conditioned little by little until suddenly you wake up one day and look at yourself and be like, is this me? How did I become this person? How am I letting another abuse me so bad, use me so bad, reduce me so bad? How is somebody else in control of when I breathe? How I breathe? How? It's a gradual conditioning. So it happens by your sense of self gradually being eroded, your sense of autonomy being gradually taken in little bits and pieces. So it's not a thing that happens overnight, because you'll be aware. Is a systematic eroding of your sense of self until you have almost become a mirror image of the person that is abusing you and you are codependent to. So basically, this is how we are conditioned to become victims. So I will be a bit vulnerable here, because I was a codependent for almost 3 decades. And when I look back, the first experience I had with becoming a codependent was, we were still in courtship. We hadn't even married. We were still in courtship. And we were in a car. We were in Abuja. And somebody was with us trying to take us somewhere that we didn't know how to get to. And we drove out of the place where we were staying and we were going to this place. And he missed his way. The road was a bit confusing. Abuja roads, they have 4 lanes, 3. So he entered the wrong lane, and that was for oncoming traffic. And I laughed. I was like, oh my God, look at you, Bushman. You did not even know where to enter. I was joking. We have been joking. And the look I got from him, the person that was taking us to the place where we were going was sitting behind. The look I got froze me in my chair. I could not explain that venom. The look I got was scary. So I went quiet. So that was the first time I started thinking, am I sure where I'm entering? Okay. So That was a red flag, but I didn't know what it was. So I didn't recognize it for what it was. And I want to speak to everyone who is listening. Please make it a point to study up on codependency and narcissism so that you can train your children. Because we have to start from somewhere to break this epidemic that is all over the place. Start to train your children to recognize red flags, narcissism, codependency, abuse, all of those. We will greatly reduce the number who sit down and lose themselves in the name of relationship. All right. So that was my first red flag, but I didn't know it was a red flag. All I know was that the level of anger at that joke did not match. The level of offense at that small joke did not match. So these are some of the things to begin to educate people with. And so I continued on in the relationship, and oh my God, this is not the platform. I experienced a lot of things, but one day I woke up and I looked at myself and I wasn't me anymore. I wasn't me anymore. I was broken on the inside. I was on edge on the outside. I was an insomniac. I was afraid in my own house. I was afraid in my own house. And that wasn't a healthy place to be. I had wrinkles at 40. At 40, on my 40th birthday, so I had a portrait taken. And then I have other pictures that were taken of me at 46, 48, and 50. I have them in my office in random order. They're all along the same wall, but they're in random order. And everybody that comes into my office, I say to them, look at these photos and tell me where you think I'm oldest and where you think I'm youngest. I think it's only one person out of about 50 who pointed at my photo at 40 and said, this is you at 40. Only one person. And I think it's because that person knew me then. Everybody else will go to my picture at 40 and say, this is you at 50, and point to my picture at 50 and say, this is you at 40. I looked older in my 40s than I do now, and I'm almost 60 years old. And that was because the weight was what was happening inside was showing on the outside. Hausa people have a proverb. They say, "Sanin labarin zuciya yana fuska." What that means is, if you want to know the story of the heart, look at the face. Look at the face. So codependency is a horrible, horrible epidemic right now, because we have people who are in relationships holding on for dear life. And because the abuser knows that this person is holding on for dear life, it is the license they need to intensify the abuse. So we have to start teaching people that God values a life more than a marital status. God has more value for a life than he has for a marital status. Why? Marriage is a temporary thing. It ends here. It doesn't go anywhere. In heaven, there'll be no marriage. We are the bride of Christ. But I'm almost confident to say that there are people, male and female, that will miss heaven because of bitterness that is attached to a spouse they had on earth. So we're going to mortgage eternity for a temporary thing that will end here on earth. So we have to teach people. You were not made, God hates abuse. You were not meant to be abused. You were not meant to morph into another person or be swallowed up by another. If you read the Bible in Genesis, Enya, God gave man in creation, male and female, man. He gave man authority to have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the creeping things on the earth, to rule over creation. The one thing that God didn't give man the authority to rule over is another man. God never said, man, rule over man, male, rule over woman, woman, rule over man. No. We were given dominion to rule over everything else except another human being. That's why every time a person attempts to rule another, there is a resistance. There's something in you that reacts when somebody attempts to begin to sit on your head, even though they may end up subduing you. But that initial time, something in you will say, something that's the nature of God that is inside of you, that knows that you are not supposed to be in subjugation to another human. You are supposed to be in dominion over everything that God created. So these are some of the things we'll begin to teach people. You have value before God. Nobody is allowed to devalue you. And when you see devaluing taking place, you must have the courage to remove yourself from that atmosphere of abuse. We must teach people. Two, we must let our children know that there will always be a place of refuge with us if something goes wrong where they're going. Let me explain. I'm not saying that people should not fight for their marriages. I'm not saying that people should not work at their marriage. Marriage is hard work. But when there is abuse and it is intent on eroding the humanness of a person, then we must be strong enough. Ngozi, you have to mute your microphone. Ngozi, mute. Mute. Ngozi, mute. Thank you. Yes. So you have to you have to teach the younger generation how to recognize abuse and how to walk away from it. They have to have the courage to do so. All right. Then teach the ones who you begin to see the signs of abuse in. Because you see, if we're paying attention, we will notice the people who are already developing those predatory instincts, and we'll begin to call their attention to it. No, 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 this is not okay. This is what you are exhibiting. All right. For those of us who fell into the codependency, let me stress on one thing and then I'll be done. It's called self-care. The one thing that codependency takes from you is to even give yourself the permission to care for yourself. You become so broken by the abuse, by the codependency, you don't know how to care for yourself. In fact, it almost looks like an offense to take care of yourself. Self-care is not selfishness. Self-care is self-preservation. And God calls us to that. You must take care of your body. You must take care of your mind. You must take care of your spirit. You must take care of your soul. Please take the time to self-care. Give yourself permission to care for yourself. Most codependents, in a bid to please and please and please the abuser, you will not buy anything for yourself. You will get a salary of maybe 100,000. Before you look, the salary is finished. You have used it to buy curtain and spoon and tablecloth to impress the abuser. And there's nothing for you. You end up looking like the house girl when you go out, or the house boy when you go out, because there are female abusers too. Oh, yes. Please take the time to self-care. Nourish your soul, nourish your mind, nourish your body, nourish your spirit. Two, don't allow yourself to become so isolated from people that you have no support systems in place. Because that is what the abuser thrives upon, your lack of a support system. The abuser thrives on it. Please, make sure, and if you look around now, those of you who are listening, and realize that you have been cut off from everybody, it's time to wake up from the slumber. Start rebuilding connections that are important to you, or making new ones. Making new ones. Three, find hobbies. Because right now, as a codependent, your hobby is the person that is abusing you. Your hobby is the person, your dream is the person, your joy is the person, your peace is the person, your stability is the person. Find other things that bring you joy and channel your energies through them. I'm a preacher of the gospel. I can't go around telling people, walk away from your marriage, walk away from your marriage, walk away from your marriage. But I can say to you that you can stay in that marriage and find the tools that you need to survive there while maintaining your sanity. So I'll speak to you quickly. The 4 horsemen of mental balance. 1, indifference. You must learn that art. To know when to be indifferent when the abuser comes with the regular cycles of abuse. 2, detachment. Know when to detach, how to detach. 3, disengagement. Know when to disengage the conversation, the attitude, the space, the atmosphere, even in your mind, not just physically. And then finally, strategic withdrawal. You strategically withdraw from certain conversations, withdraw from certain thought patterns, withdraw from the person and their style of abuse. You strategic, and that will come by careful observation. You will recognize a pattern in the abuser. You will, if you pay attention, you recognize how it starts and where it always ends. So if you can predict, then you put that detached wall up before the thing comes. So when it comes, it's bouncing off like water on the back of a duck. So please, for codependency, the first and foremost thing is be conscious and be intentional about self-care. That's what I have to contribute today, briefly.
Wow, this is amazing. Mind blowing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, Mama, before you go, I know that there are some people here that could have some questions. So please, if you have any question, this is the time to ask. We're a small group, so it's a safe place for you to be vulnerable. So if you have any question, please ask now so that Mama can go back to church. She had to leave church to come. Okay, Fee, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Enya, for setting this up. Thank you, Mama. This session has been really enlightening for me because though I'm not married, but starting to realize that there have been patterns of codependency in maybe a previous relationship that I didn't even realize till now. You know, having a conversation when you were speaking, I started to realize this was what was going on. I just thought that I was difficult or maybe something was wrong with me and I wasn't open to criticism as much and stuff like that. But I'm starting to realize that it was codependency because I wanted to do everything to please this person and nothing seemed to be pleasing regardless of whatever you do. So the question is, when you leave this type of a relationship, if you're able to leave and you find out that you've started having patterns, because I think it comes hand in hand with people pleasing eventually and self-esteem issues where you start to recognize, because your body goes into defense mode, so you start to feel defensive even before normal people that don't even know anything. You feel defensive because you've come to that point of I can't accept criticism, so let me quickly stop it before it becomes something else. So how are you able to then identify these patterns in yourself and then grow from it? Because accepting yourself from that place of identifying your self-worth, so that eventually, if you go into another relationship, you wouldn't be expecting maybe a narcissistic person when the person isn't, right? And then you now create a different mental place for that person. So it's like you're bleeding on the person even before they hurt you.
Okay. So I think that what is important for all of us is to spend time developing our personhood to a place where we are okay by ourselves. You see, if you grow to the point where you are okay by yourself, you don't need another person to complete you, then the issue of codependency will be hard to fall into because you are okay by yourself. So if a person comes into your life and you start relating and you notice that they're abusing you, you are strong enough to say, hey, this is not okay. So this is where you will find the balance. When you say to a person who is supposed to be in a relationship with you, I don't like this, it hurts me. The person may not understand, but the person should be able to say, oh, wow, I didn't know that. What is it about it that offends you? When you get that kind of answer that the person is willing to listen to you and wanting to walk through with it, then you know you are safe. But if you say to a person, you are hurting me, and the person is like, what's that? Is it this small thing? What's that supposed to mean? My friend, get over yourself. That's a red flag. That's a person that will not listen to your pain. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, I'm not going to go out with this person. He's not listening to me. The person may not even be aware that they are pushing people away from their lives by that attitude, possibly because of where they are coming from. In a healthy relationship, we should be able to sit down and look at that. Hey, bros, how would you feel? Or sister, how would you feel if you say to me, I hurt you and I say this to you? Would you like it? Person says, no, let's talk about this. Why would you ignore my pain? Is it good for our relationship? You don't have to understand my pain to acknowledge it. So where you draw the line is when you're trying to express to a person the pain you feel and they're dismissing it. Now, they're not dismissing it because, oh, we don't have time to talk about it right now. They're not saying to you, please, can we talk about this tomorrow morning? They're just simply shutting you down. You have no rights in this relationship. That's when to run. That's when to run. However, if I say to the person, I don't like this, the person says, sorry, I didn't know that would be annoying for you. And then 10 minutes later or tomorrow, the person comes and says, sit down. You know that thing that you said was annoying to you. I don't understand why it will annoy you. I don't know if you people have seen a video of me, some clips of me that went viral. I was talking about how passing gas destroyed a marriage of 1 week. The guy gassed for the lady, and that was it. Marriage was over. She's coming from a place where if you want to gas, you run outside, you leave the rest of the family, run outside and go and gas outside, wait for the smell to pass, then come back. This guy comes from a family where if you want to gas, you hold it and look for somebody in the family. Then you release it. The louder you are, the funnier it is. So they did not have this conversation before marriage. They got married, and the guy did exactly what was normal for him, gas loudly, and the girl couldn't handle it. She called him a barbarian, he beat her up, and that was the end of the marriage. So if you speak to somebody about them hurting you, and they're willing to have a conversation about it, or they're open to listening to you and taking your pain into cognizance, you are safe. But if consistently a person shuts down your offenses, shuts down your pain, shuts down your opinions, shuts down your suggestions, you are in trouble. Don't tell me you are in love. You are in obsession. So we should teach people to be strong enough at that point to say, no, if we're in a relationship, I should have a voice. I should have a say. My opinion should count. Even if you don't take my advice at the end of the day, at least I know I was heard. I was listened to. Okay? All right. So that's how I'll answer that.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, Mama. Anybody else? This is the time. Please,
hello.
Okay. Hi.
Shy. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you, Pastor Enya, for everything, and so thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to have this conversation. I'm at work, so that's why you're hearing all the noise and everything. So, but basically, what I want to say in essence is what you're doing is applaudable, and do not stop, because I've seen a lot of your clips on social media back and forth addressing certain behaviors that seem to be the norm in a situation where we are, but it's not acceptable. I was telling Pastor Enya that it has come to time that people should be held accountable for their behaviors.
Yeah.
We tend to enable people and hand them the cover of, oh, I ask for forgiveness. That's you ask for forgiveness, but there's a repercussion for that sin that you've committed. David asked God for forgiveness, but he told him that he would divide the kingdom. And after he said he would divide the kingdom, he told him that your own son would do something to one of your wives, and that's what occurred. But people you want to beat your wife and you expect your wife not to walk away. You want to yell at your wife in church and embarrass her in front of everybody and assume that she should be all right with it. And everybody want to part. Well, you know, your mother was patient. You should be patient. No. So when next this class is going to be on, I'll put it on full blast, because everybody needs to hear what you're saying. People have died.
I know.
Women have walked away from relationship, and the best anyone can come up with, oh, she's cheating. Who gives you the impression that it has to be cheating for a woman to walk away? I told Pastor Enya, I became a young widow at a young age. What the first thing people want to see? Why are you dressing? Oh, you seem to move on with my life. Oh, yes, I'm going to move on with my life. Because after widowhood, I have to live my life.
And I told Pastor Enya I was able to live my life to the fullest because I had a good support system. My late dad, Reverend P.C.I. he just passed on March. My father took no for an answer. He will tell you, the right a man has, my daughter, you have that right.
And that's what I was talking about parents letting their children know that there will always be a safety net to catch them if the person they get into relationship with turns out to be a chronic abuser. It's very important that we let our children know that we will be part of their support system. Even if our children made mistakes, we will not let them sit in a place and die. Jesus already died, and he's the only one that was called to die for others. He has fulfilled that ministry. Anybody else's death will count for nothing. Your blood will count for nothing. So yes, thank God for your dad, and thank God for having that kind of support system. Not everybody does. Not everybody does. You become a widow and people are marking your days for you. Why should you get married after just 2 years? So that means you were cheating before. And I said to them, excuse me, what's your business? Are you in their shoes? Are you the one dealing with the loneliness every night? Are you the one dealing with the lack of companion? If this person really needs support systems and they're struggling, why not? All I ask is that you be sure who you are marrying. Be sure who you are marrying, but nobody has a right to come and start dictating to someone who has just lost a spouse when their lives should pick up again. In fact, haven't you heard some of the spouses, especially the ones that were sick, before they die, they will tell the spouse, please, when I pass on, marry again, find somebody, let them love you, let them care for you. Those are the good lovers that know that the person shouldn't be alone, not the bad ones that are hoping that you stay alone and die lonely and sad. You're already dead. You're already dead. Why do you wish that I'll be miserable? You are no longer here, you know? So this, well, like you said, people want to sin in retail and repent wholesale. They want to sin in retail and repent wholesale. Don't work that way. Yeah. Thank you, laddie.
So much. It is we're grateful. Pastor Enya, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, mommy is going. Oh, anybody want to ask last question? She's going. Oh. Good evening.
I thought I'd escaped.
Good evening.
Good evening.
No, good evening.
Okay. Is someone talking already?
Yes. Fatima, okay. After, yes. Good evening. Thank you, Pastor Enya, for this. Thank you, Mama, for your wealth of wisdom. My question is from something you said about when you notice that particularly a child is beginning to display those tendencies of either codependency or
abuse. The abuser.
The abuse, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So how, because one of the things I think I've learned in researching on all of these things is the fact that some of these things start from childhood. Mm-hmm. You know, especially some of the men especially have mother wounds and all of those things. So how do you tackle it from, as a mother, how do you tackle it from the childhood, from the grassroots, before it escalates to something bigger?
Okay, we know that everything we see in the physical is already ongoing in the spiritual. So there's constantly the spiritual battle and the spiritual push and pull going on. When you start to notice, in fact, before you even start to notice, start to pray. Is a powerful thing, and God is a prayer answering God. He answers for 6,000 years. Solomon's prayer is still being answered. He prayed that if the Israelites were dispersed and they were in other nations and they turned towards the temple to pray, that God should hear from heaven and answer. Solomon's temple has been pulled down, another temple built, pulled, and a third temple built that has been pulled down. But there is one old wall standing called the Wailing Wall. People go on pilgrimage to Israel and they put prayer requests inside the holes in that old wall, because the wall is full of holes. They put prayer requests. Do you know that there is a rumor going around that every single prayer request that has entered that wall has been answered? There's a rumor going around. And that's because Solomon prayed that if people even turn towards that temple, God will answer. So God is still answering a prayer that was prayed 6,000 years ago. It gives you confidence that he answers prayer. So you begin to pray and say, Lord, these things that I'm seeing, this codependency matter, this narcissism matter, this abuser matter, I begin to pray over my children and decree that my children are under the influence of the Spirit of God, not under the influence of generational patterns, not under the influence of things that do not bring you glory. Then you need to be a very observant parent. Pay attention to your children. Begin to look at their character, at their personhood. Then ask God for wisdom to guide each child, because each one is different. Each one is different. So God will give you wisdom to begin to order that child. Draw the child's attention. Educate. These things take time, and that's what parents are not willing to invest in this day and age. They take time, they take reinforcement, they take repeating and repeating until the child gets it. When you see an abusive attitude in your child, call your child. You can use illustrations, you can use stories. Go online. Before you talk to the child, find a video, a short video that addresses the issue, and show your child. There are books, small books written. I have a series of books, there are about 10 of them, on anger, stealing, unkindness, violence, impatience, anxiety. I have them. They are for children. They're a set of books. So when I notice any of my children struggling with any of these things, I bring the book and I sit with the child and we read through it and we talk through. You see them making an effort. I have a nephew that came to me because I noticed that he was taking things that were not his own. So one day I got my cane and I gave him the beating of his life after advising and he wasn't listening. One day he came to me. He said to me, Mommy, how do I resist when that thing tells me, go and take this thing? He was asking. So you have to be prepared to give the answers when the questions come. If you don't have an answer at that time, don't be afraid to tell your child, you know what? I don't have an answer for you right now, but give me 2 days. I'll get back to you with this. Or give me 1 day, or I'll call you and answer you later. Then you quickly go and do a research. There's nothing wrong with telling your child, I don't know this, but I'll find out. All right, so that's how to handle it. First, you start by praying while they're still young. These things have not started exhibiting yourself. And subdue the demons that are responsible for perpetrating generational patterns. And then you begin to teach your children. Then you reinforce, you support, you guide. All right, but if you yourself are still a codependent, you are not healing, you are not growing, you won't be able to lead another person out of that place. So it takes you growing by your own self before you can help another person not to go down that path or to come off that road. Yeah, next person.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fatima. Fatima.
She's gone. I think, okay, she's here.
She's here. Fatima, I know she really wanted to ask something.
Maybe she's distracted.
Fatima, Mom is going on.
I think she's distracted. Maybe something is going on. All right. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that the rest of the program will be rewarding too. Oh, she's back.
She's back. Fatima.
I saw her on mute just now.
Maybe her phone is having
issues.
Problems. Fatima, can you type? Because Mama has to leave. Oh.
Okay. So another time. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Yes,
all right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So, Mommy has.
My friends on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, I've been seeing you trying to send questions, but I was on somebody's program, so there's no way I could have been answering you. And let me see if I can answer any of your questions on this. No, go back. Okay, let me see if I can pick up. Okay. I'm not yet married, but I love to be alone, doing things alone. How can I get out of it? By getting involved with people. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to be alone. Okay, but if that's you permanently, then that's a problem. So go out of your way to get involved with people when they are doing things. All right. God bless you. Which other question am I seeing here? Okay, that's all. Let me check Instagram. The title of the books, I don't remember, my dear. It's a long time ago. My children are all adults now. I don't remember the name of the book. Okay. All right. So I don't see any questions that came earlier. So I'm just going to end this. Thank you so much for joining. God bless you. I see you another time. Bye-bye. Bye, YouTube. Bye-bye. You've been married for 10 years. Husband has been cheating with the same lady and you're on a healing journey. May the Lord complete your healing journey. I hope you are not taking the insult, sitting down and doing nothing about it. I hope you are not holding on desperately and giving him the impression that it's okay to continue cheating. No, you can't do that. That's devaluing, and God doesn't want that. God doesn't want that. Praise God. All right, people, take care of yourselves and have a good day. Bye.